This isn't a Eureka 7 film. Yes, this too isn't a Eureka 7 film. Now you're probably wondering, damn, maybe there's a message that I'm missing. Maybe this is one of those explain videos that can tell me what's going on with the plot. And my dear friend, I don't have that answer for you. Because this was some bullshit. What's up, people? It's your boy Sly Tag, the not so silent protagonist, here again to talk about my favorite franchise, or I should say series, because the franchise unfortunately has been doo-doo ever since 2010. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about Anemone, Eureka 7 Hi-Evolution 2. Now, I did a video the last time on my channel. Yes, I've been gone for a while. I'm not gonna get into that right now. We're gonna get at least weekly content next month. So
that was a fucking lie.
But I promise I will review it when it came out, and I've seen it. Now I'm here and I'm reviewing it. And I'll say this much: I didn't completely hate this movie. And the best thing I can say about it is, it's probably the best Eureka 7 thing we've gotten since Pocket Full of Rainbows. And that's not saying much. Oh man, so I guess I'll just go point by point, because it's been a minute. I need to get it. The opening reminded me of Pocket Full of Rainbows when it started, because I continue to defend Pocket Full of Rainbows. It's not a bad movie, it's just very subpar compared to the original show. However, I can't give it the same credit because the CG looks like shit. The CG in this movie looks like a washed out pack of Skittles. I mean, literally, the colors are flat. The models look like they're moving at 15 frames per second. It's just a terrible opening, but it's terrible visuals. But it's even worse than the fact that, like, there's literally no reason why it's in CG. 90% of this movie is in traditional 2D animation, but for some reason when she's a child, it's in CG. And they don't explain this whatsoever. There's no explanation for it. You don't think like, oh, maybe this is like her idealized world, and you know, this is like Anemone's body. Like, no, it's literally just in CG for no reason. You know, it's only like 20 minutes worth of the film. Majority of the film is in 2D animation. So like, why is this in CG? And it's just there because, I don't know, Kyoto said, fuck it, I can do it. So the movie starts off in medias res. You don't know what's going on. Okay, that's not unusual. That's fine. But as it goes on, first we get introduced to Anemone, aka Fuka, and that's what I'm gonna call him from now on, because it's not Anemone. And this has been the problem with Eureka 7 since Pocket Full of Rainbows, is that the characters are not the actual characters. They're interpretations of those characters. Now, I don't have a problem with you taking a character and changing up their backstory, changing their role in the story in a way, as long as they're true to a character. For instance, Misha and Sonya, I thought were fine in this movie. They were just like their characters in the show. The only difference is that instead of taking care of a record, they're taking care of Anemone. Fine with that. But Anemone in this movie isn't Anemone. It's Fuka. She's a generic anime protagonist. She lost her parents, and now she's saving the world. That's it. There's none of the depth and complexity that the original Anemone character had in the original series is here. There's no psycho freakouts. There's no commentary on substance abuse, mental abuse, manipulation, dependency on another individual, self-worth. All that is gone in this character. You don't see any of that in this character. She's just a generic mecha protagonist. Female, I mean, that's positive. We need more females leading shows nowadays, but that's it. You know, none of what made Anemone a character is in this show. Alright, so that's the first problem. Two, you don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, you think like it's gonna wrap up. What does this have to do with the first movie? Now, the first movie was garbage, but at least have some semblance of like where we're going from the next. This movie barely connects to the first movie at all, and we're gonna get deeper into that. But if I were you, if you hadn't seen the first movie, I wouldn't even bother watching it. Don't, because one, it's garbage, and two, they barely even like make sense, and they kind of retcon it at the end of this movie. And the exposition is just terrible. They're going, There's so many terms being thrown out there about what they're doing. And, you know, it's like, oh, we work for the UN super.
Anti-Scab Strategic Infantry Division was the UN Agency for Human Preservation.
The Tokyo Ring Research Lab beneath the Tower of Wind.
They throw out all these terms in the beginning, and you're just supposed to figure out what they are. And they do this throughout the whole movie. This doesn't stop at the beginning, and it just gets worse. And they do that thing that I hate. They do is exposition where somebody's talking, and he says, "Oh man, it must be that man." Like, that's not mysterious. That's not mysterious. That's bad exposition. Anyway, they go in, and this was a good scene in the movie where they play Tiger Track, throwback to the original show. They didn't need to do the whole thing where they talk about like, oh, what song is that? Oh, it's Kakami. Like, we know. The original fans are the only people watching these movies. We know what the song is. You don't have to have a scene where you stop the movie to show, hey, we're playing that song from the show. But anyway, we get into the crux of the show. Because Eureka 7 is so unbeatable, they can't defeat it with conventional weaponry. They have to go into the mind space of Eureka 7 or the Nirvash or whatever the fuck. I don't know what's going on. I'll get to that later. But they go into like this mind space, and Anemone's gotta like go back into old footage of the Eureka 7 show and basically beat whatever Nirvash is there, and then that version of Eureka 7 is just gonna disappear. And they don't explain this technology very poorly. I'm not gonna say they don't explain it. That's not correct. They explain it very poorly. They don't really understand like what this version of the Nirvash that they call Eureka 7 is doing. Why does it have missiles if it's not real? If it's just a figment of this person's imagination as they theorize? It's very badly explained. At this point, the movie's not bad. Okay, the movie's decent. I actually started liking the film, except they just throw all like 20 terms and concepts at you at once, and you lose track of what's going on. So something that this movie did a lot better than the first movie is that they incorporated the original footage a lot better than the last movie did. The last movie, it started off with original animation, and then they just went into the stuff with Renton. And again, the rest of the movie was a mess. It was garbage. They just put the original footage in 4:3, didn't update it, didn't remaster it whatsoever. This, they actually transitioned. There's a reason why the footage is the way it is. It's because they're inside the Eureka 7, and it's you know, Eureka's world or whatever. Again, still don't understand what the fuck they were talking about. I'll get to it, but they actually, you can see them going into the VR, and then when they go back in the real world, you can see that they stretch the frame and do things to make it transition to where it doesn't come out of nowhere and all of a sudden we're in 4:3 land and it makes no sense. It actually made sense, and they actually put effort into it. So props to them. At the same time, why are you still using the old footage, man? Like, like, it's so lazy, it's so bad, and they bastardized the greatest scene in anime history, the Skyfall scene in episode 26. That's one of the greatest scenes of all time to me. And they just completely bastardized it. They take Charles' unit and they just recolor it black, and we're expecting it to like assume that that's the end. And then as the show goes on, it just changes to the end, and there's no explanation whatsoever. And here's the crux of like the problem is that Bones obviously has no idea what they want to do with these movies. They just don't. Because they started off, and I remember the first video I did talking about the series, the announcement of the films that I took down. I might put a clip of it here. I want to make a fresh new Eureka 7 for customers who do not disappoint those who were influenced by former Eureka 7 and now new customers. But they explicitly said that this was going to be a retelling of the original series for both the fans and new viewers. But you don't know what the fuck is going on unless you've seen the original show. So there's no way in hell you made this for original viewers. It makes no sense. And when you go back to the first movie again, we're an hour in and you still are like, what does this have to do with the first film? This has barely anything to do with the first film. Other than you just assume that it's in the same timeline as this film, as opposed to everything else, which is in a different timeline. The Pocket Full of Rainbows timeline. The AO timeline, which is supposed to be the original timeline, but apparently that's not the case anymore. You got the manga timeline, the light novel timeline, alternate timeline in Astral Ocean. That is a whole nother thing. But when the film gets an hour in, it just stops making sense. You don't know what the fuck is going on. You don't know what the characters are trying to do. You don't know where Renton is. You don't know what's going on with Eureka. And we get down to the climax of the film. And at this point, there's so many things going on. We don't know if it's what's going on with Dewey. We don't know if, like, it looks like he killed Dr. Bear at the end there. They don't explain it. It's very vague. But we find out that Eureka has basically been dreaming, and because Anemone keeps coming in, she can't get Renton back. Note that at this point, I believe, if I remember correctly from the first film, we have not been bought into Renton or Eureka's relationship at all. They have not done anything to solidify what they've been going through, because again, the last film, it was all like in clips and flashbacks, and it was all about, him being with Charles and Ray and them not putting any backstory behind them. But that's the first film. We're not going to get into that. But we have no connection to the Renton-Eureka relationship at all. So why we should care about what's going on with Eureka makes no sense. We have no reason to care or feel sympathy about Eureka, again, unless you've seen the original show. And again, you made this for original fans and original audiences, and the audience has no relation to what Renton and Eureka's relationship is or why they should care. So it fails on its face on that note. But it also fails because, again, you have a character that's not acting anything like her original creation. So why is this character even here? This should be a new character. Why are you even doing the Eureka 7 thing? And I'm gonna get to the twist in a minute. But I feel like, the problem with Eureka 7 as a franchise is that they have a creator that doesn't like the show. He legitimately hates the show. He got caught up with some EVA fans, and he got tired of people saying that it's an Evangelion ripoff. And so he's like, oh, okay, you think my show's a ripoff? Okay, I'ma actually rip it off. I'ma actually make Eureka a psycho chick, not Anemone. I'm actually gonna make a very shallow protagonist character like so many Ava ripoffs have. I'm gonna do all the generic stuff in a movie version, and that's not what we want. That's not what people looking for new stuff want. That's not what the fans want. Can I just get a show where I see Nirvash in the end fight in full 1080p widescreen? Can I get that? Is that too much to ask? Kyoto? Is that too much to ask? Daisato? Is that too much to ask? I'm serious. But the dude literally hates the series. And he has no understanding about what made Eureka 7 cool. Why people like Eureka 7. Where's the rough boards? Where's the counterculture? Where's the alternative clothing? Where's the diving through the skies and kissing and stuff? That's what made Eureka 7 cool. We don't need Nirvash with a bunch of missiles and grenades. Nirvash was cool because he used boomerangs. What make use boomerangs? Eureka 7 was one of the most original stylistic shows. It wasn't the most unique plot. It didn't have the most sophisticated twist and mysteries. No, it was a basic show. But its style and its presentation is what made it cool. That's why people like the show. That's why people love it still to this day, even though it has been shit since 2010. But we get to the twist. And I thought about this for a long time. The twist is just stupid.
My right arm just consumed him. what I am, this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have killed Rent and he would still be alive.
So we find out that Anemone gets in too because she freaks out when Anemone gets to the final Eureka. So she has one last chance to get Renton back because, you know, she's trying to dream up this fake world where her and Renton need to be together. And so Anemone comes in there and she says, I've been trying to dream over and over again. And they show clips of the original show, Astral Ocean, the manga, the light novel, Pocket Full of Rainbows, and Hi-Evolution. And from that, we're supposed to infer that like every single Eureka 7 alternate universe has been a dream where Eureka was simply trying to get Renton back. And at first I was like, okay, at least, okay, AO's not canon anymore. Awesome. Pocket Full of Rainbows makes sense. You know, they've kind of put it in a unique universe. But the more you think about it, the stupider it gets. First of all, you're trying to bring Renton back. But Renton doesn't die in any of the timelines. Eureka's the one that dies. She's the one that dies in the manga. She's the one that dies in the light novel. You know, AO, they don't die in AO because, again, the assumption is AO is supposed to be in the original timeline, but apparently that's not the case. Thank God. But still, Renton and Eureka don't die in the original series. Sorry to interrupt. The editing protag here to just point out something that the silent protag forgot to mention during that epic rant on Tomioka Kyoto, if I say so myself. If you don't know, if episode 50 of Eureka 7, the original series, seems a little bit weird to you, seems a little bit disjointed from the rest of the finale heading up to it, well, that's because it's not the original ending. The original ending was very similar to the manga and light novel, where actually, if you watch the OVA, Eureka 7 New Order, that was actually what the original ending was supposed to be. And it was, if you haven't watched it, you know, it's this weird audio drama thing where basically Eureka 7 splits her soul into 7 pieces, and, you know, she goes off with the scrub curls with Nirvaj and the rest of them. And that was the original ending, but they changed it because the Eureka Renton relationship was so popular that they decided to give it a happy ending. Now, despite the facetiousness of that decision, I ultimately think that that was the best decision because it reflects what Eureka 7 was about. That lesson of, it ultimately validates the lesson of don't beg for things, do it yourself, or else you won't get anything in return. And Renton, learning from his lessons, not giving up, ultimately got what he deserved. And, you know, I think Tomiyuki Kyoto has been trying to recapture that feeling that the adaptations have and giving it to the original show. And ultimately, I think there's just a misunderstanding about what appealed to fans of the original series and what he himself has set out to do with the show. And I think, you know, as he continues not to realize this, these adaptations are going to continue to be subpar compared to the original show. But yeah, just wanted to point that out real quick. I'm sure he meant to mention that, but there you go. Continue with the review. Renton and Eureka don't die in Astral Ocean. His sister dies, but Renton doesn't die. So if the whole goal is to get Renton back, we know that none of this happens. So it makes no sense. So the twist is just dumb, and it's just a way to kind of like go back and say, hey, yeah, we know none of this shit makes sense. We know none of it makes sense, but here's this way, we're gonna make it right with this movie, but this series makes no goddamn sense either. Okay? Where the fuck did the end Glover come from? Where? She just opens up an app. We don't hear what Anemone says to open up the app, and then Dominique just shows up, and she's got a Glover version of the end, and they fly for the sky and beat him. Where did the door open up from? How do you get the technology to go into the dream world to get Glover? Why is it still there? After Eureka 7 disappears, the Glover is still there. Dominic is still there. Where did damn Nirvaj come up at the end of the go? Why is he in an egg? Why does he even have long arms? What the fuck is going on with this movie, Kyoto? I don't understand what's going on. Make it make sense. And it's not. They don't want to make it make sense. They want a cash grab. They want money. They don't really care about what's going on. And that just sucks. It sucks for us because, you know, I still love Eureka 7. Even though the creator doesn't. And even though, like, because I'm going to watch the third movie like a fucking Lutz. I'm not going to pay for it. Shh, don't tell nobody. Don't tell Funimation. And that sucks. Because I still love Eureka 7. I know a lot of people still love Eureka 7. I still enjoy it. And I will stand by it. This is the best Eureka 7 thing we've had since Pocket Full of Rainbows. This is better than Astro Ocean. Okay, there ain't no garbage like Truth in this. There's no garbage like Renton completely betraying his character and destroying the subcorals. There's nothing like that in this. And it's an actual movie. The last one was a clip show. This, they actually tried. They actually tried with this one. There's two scenes that I thought were great. That were genuine works. I mean, obviously, the scene where they go down and they have to go into the landing strip so they can set up the VR device at the beginning where they're playing Tiger Track. That was a good scene. Again, they didn't need all the references, but that was a good scene. And the big climatic sequence where the Glover Inn is flying up and Anemone is there, and they're playing a song called Ballad Mechanic, which is the song that's based off the episode where Renton and where the Inn and Nervage fight for the final, episode 48, and that's a good sequence, and it's a good song. And listen, even haters of Eureka 7 have to admit that the music is always a banger. The music is always good. Nikito Sago comes back for the music, and the music that they get, they put in the songs at the ending and the song that plays during that sequence are both very good songs. I've been listening to the artist in the original song that the artist covered off of. Very good music. And I'll give Kyoto this. Tomiki Kyoto this. He got good taste in music. He's got very good taste in music. I can give him that much. But that was a very good sequence. The Kentucky Circus sequences with, blast. There was a part that made no sense. Like how the hell does, a lightning dragon blow up when it gets shot by a laser? That was kind of dumb. But again, the problem with that scene is that at that point you don't care. You don't care what's going on. You don't care about the characters. You don't care what's happening. And so while that is a great sequence, I don't care. And that's kind of what Eureka 7 has come down to. Just cool looking sequences, but no originality, no flair, no excitement. It's just meh. And that's really all I got to say. The third movie's supposed to come out this year. I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna talk about it. It's Eureka 7. But, Bones, if you actually are serious about Eureka 7 being good again, like, just get a different director. I'll always respect Kyoto for, being the originator of the show and directing the original show. But he doesn't love this series anymore. He's just using it to be his own, trying to push out his own visual altruism. And it sucks because Eureka 7 made you, bro. Eureka 7 made you, though. And Dai Sato, bro. Oh my god, man. I don't want to put the blame of this movie on him because, again, I don't know how much he's trying. He's got to work around the original plot. The reason why I was excited for these movies is because he was the one coming back to write. Okay, I thought that was the reason why AO was so bad, because the original writer, for the first 3 episodes left, and then they got a new writer, and I'm like, yo, just get Dai Sato back. He knows how to write this. And the dude just forgot how to write. I mean, that show, Listeners, that came out earlier last year, I saw one episode of that and I was like, garbage. And sure enough, on Mal, it has a 5.3. How do you get a 5.3 on Mal? On Mal, a hentai has higher ratings than Listeners. Like Overflow, a hentai that came out in the same season, had higher ratings than that. How do you get a 5.3 on Mal? Mal is soft on shows. Only art films and hentais get 5.3s on Mal. So, I don't know what happened. He's written one good episode of Space Dandy. Other than that, he hasn't written anything good since Ego Proxy. And I ain't seen Equal Price in a while, so that might not even be good either. But yeah, this movie was a fucking mess. I knew it was gonna be a mess going into it, but damn, that twist was just that twist was just fucking dumb. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Anemone Eureka 7 2. Now to wrap this up, some news on the channel. First of all, I'm gonna be changing the name of the channel. It's gonna go from the Not So Silent Protagonist to simply Slide Tag 01, because I think the reason why my channel, outside of me just not uploading, kind of struggled in the beginning is because my name is just too long. And looking through all my subs and subscribers, when you have a long name, it doesn't work. So be on the lookout for that. For those of you who are watching, thank all the new subscribers that came in. I know my last Darling in the Frank video did kind of just spiked out of nowhere. I don't know why, but cool. Welcome to the channel. I'm gonna be uploading again. I'm not gonna be like an uploader that's gonna upload every week. Okay, I got a full-time job. That's why I had to stop uploading last time. And I just don't have the time to be that type of YouTuber, unfortunately. But I do plan on uploading again. My next upload is probably gonna be my impressions of the winter 2021 season, and then after that, I'm probably gonna put out my top anime of 2020. So be on the lookout for that. It's good to be back, and I hope y'all enjoyed the video. And this is the man, the Not So Silent Protagonist, signing out.